this is the time like in every single season. First of all, before we go on track, we have to know who races where. And this is what will help you. This a bit of a live stream that will last around an hour, where you will see all of the seats and all of the drivers, and we will see who races where, essentially. My name is Wojciech Śmigowski, I am the owner of European Racing Organization and possibly PCF1 commentator and also this stream's host. And here we've also got a guest named Luke Jobson. Yeah, once again, Luke Jobson. Anyway, before we go in, we've launched a poll in the chat where you can vote in which tier you think you are going to race on PlayStation if you actually signed up for this season. Well, you can also vote which tier your favorite driver will race in. That's your decision, of course. I see already plenty of votes. It's being polarized.
Criticized.
Yeah, it's actually polarized because most people think they will race in the 2 lowest tiers or in Formula 1. But we'll see about that really shortly. I also remind you, because there's like 60 of you on the live stream, to hit that like button and to promote this video within the YouTube algorithm.
Well, you've got 4 likes, so that's better than nothing.
Yeah, it's already 8.
Oh, fair enough.
Yep,
Oh,
we doubled it.
Yay!
Anyway, when do we start? I think we should start right now. We'll see in which tier we'll actually bash you race, but this is actually very interesting because within a second we'll move to our grids. I need to make sure nothing is revealed just yet, and nothing will be. So, welcome to ERO Season 9 grid reveal, which we are starting right now. There is an empty grid as of now, because we'll be adding drivers into it, but you will see about that within seconds. The magic will do its job. Anyway, yep. From which tier we are actually starting? This is now the question. And we'll see about that within seconds. Just let me add something else. Yep. Done. Yeah, I actually forgot the output capture, but still. Yeah.
Great start.
That was one of the most fantastic starts to the grid reveal we've ever seen. From which tier we are starting? I guess we're starting with the lowest one, and we're going with a 5 at the beginning. Do you agree?
Yay. Yeah, that's what works for me, yeah.
Watch had to make F6 just so he could race. Unfortunately, here's spoilers, there'll be only 5 tiers in this season. Only because we of course hoped for like 8. But that's a big thinking. And we'll do that in season 10. Anyway, starting off, PSF 5. We've got this kind of lineup. Not a full one. We've got 18 drivers. 17 of them are full-time. One of them did not reply to us about availability, so he is now a reserve. But starting with him, he's the Jakub Laskowski, the only reserve of PSF 5 as of now. And continuing with the full-time drivers, we've got in the Alfa Romeo, the 2 ERO loyals. Both have been racing since at least season 5, and Ali Hashmi has been even racing from season 4. He is joined by Thomas Lamuris, who is one of the veterans of ERO F5 tier, same as Ali, who has actually got into first 2 podiums last season. Next up, we're having Williams with James Sullivan, one of my favorite drivers in ERO F5, personally, and his teammate is going to be a debut driver, Milos Sohor. Next up, we're having an Aston Martin, who have delegated only 1 driver. His name is Maurice Krakowczyk. Then we've got Alpha Tauris of Joseph Hearn and Nico Hiltunen. Joseph Hearn unfortunately dropped from the F4 tier, but Nico Hiltunen being here since last season. Then we've got the Alpines, who moved from the Haas's, Maksymilian Szymkowski and Bartłomiej Szuchnik. This time will race in the French car. Next up, we're having McLaren. Team Liza stays in the Papaya team, and Fodor Istvan is going to race alongside him. Ferraris are now having Darius Mazahari and Joao Santos. We wonder when we will see Joao Santos actually fighting for the championship, but it might be this season. Then we've got Red Bull, another championship contender of Daniel Skrzydlak, alongside him, one of the frontrunners, Elliot Parker. And then we've got Mercedes, and I'm not sure if Bastian Vries is coming back after a break in Season 8, or what did he... He actually did race in Season 8 in F5 tier, so he stays there, but he got moved from AlphaTauri to Mercedes. Alongside him, Fabrizio Troncoso, who I can see already in the chat. Now,
Yeah, because a lot the chat's blown up already about people like finding out what teams they've got and everything already.
yep. Now, what are your predictions for the championship contenders?
I'm gonna admit I'm one of the ones I don't know many drivers in this tier. Nothing against them. But I feel like Daniel could be a solid shout because he did have pace last season when I saw him a few times in the Red Bull. But it's just having to see if anyone can be consistent for points and keep a good run going.
Yep. Let's see the season 8 standings from F5 last season, and Daniel Skrzylak indeed finished on the 5th place in the championship with 129 points. 3 out of 4 drivers who were ahead of him are actually racing in higher tiers. This is kind of a spoiler. And yeah, there is a chance for him. We'll see about that. Only Joao Santos stayed in F5, who's got 1 race win and 4 more podiums. Last season, Daniel Skrzylak has got 3 podiums. So this is the chance for them to get the championship without Boyman, Francisco or Thomas racing in this tier. Any underdogs? Anything about ones to watch? Well, Darius...
Well,
go on.
I have no idea any, unfortunately, for these.
Yep. I especially remember Darius Mazaheri, who essentially won Monza by half a minute, and that was one of the most stunning victories due to the right strategy call. But we'll see about that. If there's any predictions for me, you can also vote in the poll in the chat. I'm giving a shout to Skrzylak and Liza fighting for it, essentially.
Ooh, they've actually someone so far it says someone else they've voted for, so they don't think the top 3 that you've put could win it.
Yep. And I've put 2 out of 3 ones to watch them.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. Interesting to see how that is. We've got Tim getting a few votes as well. Santos.
Yep.
So yeah, it looks like the grid's actually going to be quite cool, I think, for them, and see who's going to actually come on top.
Yep. Also, I'm wondering who is going to join the Haas and the Aston Martin. By the way, Season 9 signups will reopen actually tomorrow. With the maybe even today. With all that signups being available.
Just go tomorrow.
Yep. Maybe even tomorrow. So, we'll see about that. As we will be soon moving to the F4 tier. That is the very interesting grid. Welcome all of the ERO F5 drivers to Season 9. Well, we're ending the poll for the champion of the tier. Most of you, also Fatnik, is probably going to be unbanned from racing within short notice, I think. The ban was on October, so it should be March when he gets unlocked at earliest. Just giving a good message in the chat. There's also a prediction that someone will drop out from F4 or F3 and will win F5 again. This might be someone. This might be someone in PlayStation F4. Because we'll be moving to that one. As you can see, we're having it on now. That's...
Yeah, so...
you can start the introduction to the tier.
Well, F4 is another tier, obviously, as you can see. Another tier that isn't full. We've got 18 drivers here. We've got 1 reserve of Bradshaw. And obviously, as you've noticed, there is a gap for a major reason, but obviously most people know this. So obviously Haas, it's obviously with Tino. You might have help with certain names. I don't want to say them wrong.
Yep. Yeah, I'll go.
So
with
obviously
I go with the grids. Anyway, I forgot to share the information about the F5 tier timing, because this is going to be, well, just like every single last season. Fridays, 6 PM UK. 7 PM in the Central Europe. Or just in Poland, for example. Because we've got the, because I said Poland, we'll go to the Haas's, who's got the Polish guy, the only driver on the team. His name is Adrian Garecki. He's the debut driver, who I remember racing, for example, in Polish F1 series on the PlayStation, but I'm not entirely sure about it. I should be corrected in the chat if there is anything else to be said. Next up, we're having a debut driver of John Berglindarson, and I hope I pronounced this name correctly. Alongside him, Mark Stevernagel. Berglindarson from the Icelandic leagues joins the International Challenge. Mark Stevernagel is the ERO loyal, and he's been racing here since a couple of seasons. We'll also see the standings of PSF4 in the meantime, at least for myself. During that, as Mark Stevernagel finished 14th last season with a couple of points finishes. Definitely season 7 was better for him with a race win, for example, in France. Next up, we're having Williams with Malvin Alas and Lee Webb finally being promoted from the F5 tier. Despite the fact he's never won a race and barely got a podium in France, well, he's moved into a higher tier. And other ones are the Aston Martin, who's got the first driver who is one to watch. Jente Ball, the debut driver, did not finish the race as far as I'm aware in the debut drivers race, but still he's got the pace to show it during the regular season. Alongside him, the man promoted from F5, Thomas Morgan. AlphaTauris are having an F5, a driver who started in F5, then went into F4, then even reserved in F3, and even there he's won races, Barry Kruger. Alongside him, we've got the debut driver of Tomasz Vrabel. And just to confirm, Barry Kruger did win Italian Grand Prix in ERO PSF3, despite not winning an F4. Another one.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Yep. Next team is Alpine with Piotr Kiszka switching from McLaren, being joined by Łukasz Janowski, the debut driver. Kiszka has been racing in the F4 since a couple of seasons. I remember season 7. Last season he was 5th in the 4th year of European Racing Organization. Then we've got McLaren. Filip Kaczerski, who stays with McLaren, is now joined by Michał Rumiński, who last season, just let me make sure, has been racing for, and I cannot try to find him in Alpine. Couple of points finishes, a pole in Canada, and then famous crash with Paweł Mieszczak on the first meters of that race. That was very interesting, but he definitely would go for better performances this season. Then we've got Ferraris, and I know there will be already comments about it. Also, Barenko, Adam Bradshaw did not get a seat because of being too slow, but because he cannot race Fridays every single week, so it's better to give him a reserve seat. This is literally what he said.
But Tedio's not being an arse to anyone here. He's just obviously going over the wishes and what they say.
Yes. Yeah, essentially, this is why I actually care about the drivers. I literally ask them I ask nearly every single one of them, hey, can you race in this time?
He did actually do this, everyone. He did try to message everyone he could.
Yep. Then we've got the Ferraris, and here's a disclaimer that this might be changed very, very soon, because Jack Bailey is joined by another one to watch, Steven Prapku, but Steven Prapku might actually go to F5 due to timing issues, and I know some of the drivers are already concerned about dominating again, but I hope it will not be a thing, even though we know Steven Prapku is a very quick driver. Next up, we're having Red Bull. Boyman V. Benga, the F5 champion, sometimes called Boring Boyman because of winning too many races, is now joined by runner-up of F5, Francisco Rocha. And then we've got the lone wolf in the Mercedes called Enis Seferi. Well, thoughts on this grid? I, of course, will run a poll about who's going to win the championship in this tier. And now it's time for Luke Jobson to speak a comment about it.
Well, I feel like Ennis could be a solid shout again this season. Boyman, obviously, he's won F5 and he's clearly got the pace to do an F4 push, I feel like, this season. And then obviously other drivers I haven't actually seen like the speed and pace and all that. So the only ones I know is Ennis and Boyman right now. But I feel like this should be a close grid. I feel like, obviously, with all the teams, you got new teammates, you got different guys, all sorts. So it should be an interesting grid to say the least. Even though half the grid is Polish right now. And I blame Coutinho for all this.
Yeah, actually, the nationality bias, you can more easily advertise in Poland than in international leagues.
I know, I'm having a go with Coutinho, so just joke with you, because I've noticed a lot of them are joining.
Yep.
But what's your... Sorry, go
on. How to have plenty of Poles in the league, be Polish.
Don't know, but what's your prediction then for the title battle?
What did I put in the poll? I put Vibenga, Seferi, Bailey, but my order will change a little bit, and I'm going for... Now, this is going to be very interesting. Seferi. Now, watch out. Kruger and Vibenga as my own top 3 of this tier. Even though the ones to watch are Steven Prabhu, probably being dropped to F5, Jente Ball, the debut driver, and Barry Kruger, well, we already told about him being one to watch.
So the vote so far is going for Ennis so far, it looks like. With nearly 29% for him. Bourgeois 23. But then someone else is obviously popping up every once in a while, so I feel like this grid's could be quite split as well.
Yep, I'm already putting some pressure on you, Ennis, in the chat. I'm already putting some pressure. Go practice properly.
He's already lost a TV. Don't.
Yeah, and he's going to be joined. He's going to have a teammate soon with these mid-season signups. Anyway, I've seen 72 people on the stream. Is that their new record? I might check it.
70.
Yeah, and now we've got the nice number.
Oh, fair.
Anyway.
he's begging you not to message anything in the chat.
Yep. When this tier is going to race, it's going to be Fridays at 7 p.m. UK, which is 19 essentially, which is 20 for Central Europe's. And, well, a little bit of a change compared to last season. Ending this poll as we are going to move on to F3, which is going to see a very interesting grid this season. And it might be a little bit exciting for Liam Cross, the man who's most likely to become a coordinator of this one, same as last season. Let's go with it. We're starting with the 2 reserves of... By the way, I'm again being joined by Luke Jobson, as I heard.
Sorry, I just had to mute myself for a second.
Yep. But we've been joined in F3 by 22 drivers on the grid. The reserves are going to be Dan Riga and Maxim Raskin, who will join the races whenever there's a seat available. Then we move on to the full-time drivers. Pavel Dudek and George Jakob will race in the Haas team. Pavel Dudek has been racing in F4 last season with a couple of decent performances, because despite joining at Monza, he's got 4 third places, and that was enough for him to get into the 9th place in the championship. George Jakob has just about joined the last F2 races of the season, and even got a debut in F1, but without points. Next up, we're having the Alfa Romeo of one of the first championship contenders, Jakub Czekaj, being joined by Ari Tomasson, another one from the Icelandic leagues looking for the international challenge. How about Czekaj? Well, he was third last season with 159 points, but this time he's looking for that revenge on Paul Nadler and actually getting the championship. Next up, we're having Williams with Clement Safrin, who's been racing last season with a podium and a race win. Alongside him, Faris Al Omar, the first man from Kuwait to join ERO, and he's the first one from Kuwait to race in ERO's history, so this is another nation to tick in ERO history. Then you've got the Aston Martins, who might be one of the Constructors' Championship contenders. These two are Paul Nadler and Jan Goring. Paul Nadler is going to defend his championship in the 3rd tier, and now he is joined by the man who finished 3rd last season in F4. That was a good promotion for the Astons. Next up, we're having AlphaTauris. Rodwell Inesia is going to be joined by Patrick Varga. Well, Royal was 4th in last season's F4 championship with a couple of podiums and a race win at France, but now he's going to be moved on to higher tier. Patrick Varga, apart from one dominating performance from Canada, he's got a couple more podiums with 2nd place in Baku and 3rd in Bahrain. That was enough for him to get 4th in the championship. Then we've got Alpine with a debut driver Philip Klimek being joined by fans' favorite Macaulay Beard, aka Yeast. Next up, we're having McLaren. Jakub Kozłowski and Kamil Adamczyk will finally be teammates together. Kozłowski from F4, Adamczyk from F2 as a Ferrari driver. Now they will challenge in F3. Ferraris are being joined by the man who was fighting with Mieszczak for the championship in F4, Edgar Svill, and he is joined by André Kle in the Ferraris. They had to make the space for the Red Bulls of Paweł Mieszczak, the F4 champion, being promoted, and his teammate Alex Tomczak. And in the Mercedes, we've got Hugo Brown and Alex Sapkota. Both are debut drivers. Also another new nationality, because it's Nepal. Any thoughts about this grid? We leave it to the comments. We leave it to Luke Jobson because this one is going to be interesting. And I'm opening a poll as well. Look.
Not Luke, it's Liam.
Oh, we've got a new man in the board.
Yeah, I've been saying in the comment section repeatedly, let me in, let me in.
Nobody
You haven't done
cares.
it. But I'm back, so now I can talk about F3 quickly. So I had
I
the
can't just
pleasure
shout
of
over you.
getting F3 last season. And if you're looking at this grid, some of the people, Mentelson won in Imola last season in Formula 3, one of the few races he could attend. Mentelson, Powell, please pronounce his surname, in the Red Bull?
Mieszczak?
Mieszczak. He's going to be one to watch. Absolutely. Let me get the other one to watch drivers up. Macaulay Beard. Last season, the poor guy had an accident while diving. He broke his back, and he couldn't compete. This season, I can guarantee you, he will be back. He will be better than ever. In F4 2 seasons ago, he was second. He tipped a driver that won't be mentioned to the line, and I'm telling you, this season, watch out for him. He is going to be phenomenal. There's a few other drivers. Alex Abkota, again, the Nepalese man. You've not seen him before, but very, very impressive in the sign-ups. Edgar Field. I mean, I can go on with that about everyone, in all honesty. Paul Nadler, the F3 champion. He's back for another season. You see his adorable face on the left. He's going to be terrifying. George Jacob in the Haas, again, fantastic. Paweł Dudek raced 6 times in F4 last season and got 4 podiums. These are not people to sweat. Don't think these guys they're just from F4. They're not going to do great. They're going to do fantastic. They really are going to do absolutely fantastic. Same with Cuba and Adam Czech. This is exciting. F3 is an exciting tier, and if I do get to coordinate it, I'm going to be in love. I'm going to be in love, Wodge.
Well, if you want to coordinate it, then just say yes, I want to coordinate it.
No.
You ruined the party.
No. But carry on. I will stop interrupting now.
Well, that interruption was very constructive as a man who knows the reality of F3 and ERO. And I agree with Liam. This year is going to be very interesting. My goal is, by the way, Jakub Czekaj for the championship. To fight him, Beard, Mieszczak, Nadler. Sometimes Varga. I can also vote in the chat who is going to be the champion in your opinion. This tier, by the way, is going to race on Saturdays at 5 p.m. So we again go 1 hour later compared to last season. This is actually very interesting. Season 3. We've got this tier at Saturdays 4, then we've got Saturdays 4 again, then we've got Saturdays 4 again in Season 5, Saturdays 4 in Season 6, but attendance, like in the entire year, was very bad. So we had to move to 5, then suddenly we've got full grids every time. Then we moved it back to 4 p.m. and now we're having it at 5 again.
See how this tier goes, because sorry, I had something came up suddenly. That's why I vanished. And thankfully, Liam joined in.
Yep. Liam joined us, told a lot. Also, Luke Jobson is probably doing something around in the background. That is very interesting as well. Anyway.
No, it's not.
You're disgusting.
Liam!
We're on live!
Oh, Liam. Alright, Liam's getting kicked out of the chat.
Yep.
Carry on without me.
Anyway, continuing. This is the entire F3. You've already given the predictions of either Nadler or someone else winning the championship. So, Mieszczak is Mentelson. Banks is Czekaj for Yuli Benov.
Right, so what's the votes came up so far? Nadler's beating everyone by 2%.
Yep. That's a very tight margin. We're seeing a title decider in Saudi Arabia.
Anyway, yay! But now we'll go F2.
Yep, and that is the step, just one step from the Formula 1 the pinnacle of league racing, and I'm not even joking about it. Because it's actually true. But maybe
No, for God's sake.
let's move on to Formula 2 tier, which is having one of the comebacks of the year, actually. Well, Max Hoyse is coming back to ERO after having a break in Season 8. Rens Bon, a new driver to ERO, is going to race here as a reserve. And if Rens Bon is going to question why he isn't in F4, which is where he actually qualified, ask Liam. Essentially.
I knew everyone was going to have a go at that with TDO.
Yep.
They're having a go that he put Jericho second.
Also, we're going to explain you very shortly why Jericho is a second driver, as an number 2 driver. Anyway, the comeback of the year, I believe, is Keen Hodgson, coming back after 3 seasons it is.
Yes.
Nearly won a championship in Season 5, but really, he got a chance. Now he's going to redeem it, but in the second tier. Well,
They're still criticizing you.
yeah.
They're still
Well,
going.
moving on to the full-time drivers, Alex Wells, the ERO driver since Season 7, who was fighting for the championship somewhat in Season 7 of F5 tier. Last season, he was racing in F3, got a 6 in the championship without a race window, and he's going to be joined by Joel Verhoeven in the Haas, the debut driver. The Alfa Romeos are having a driver. The Alfa Romeo is having a driver from the F3 tier being promoted. His name is Theo Smith. Theo Smith, who last season was 5th in the championship, despite missing a first race of the season, and the 2 more in Jeddah and Emilia-Romagna. He's going to be joined by debut driver Robert Emiliti, who was very close from getting to F1, but, well, F2 is the better go. Williams is having, well, the man who is active on the chat, by the way, who said the steer is goated already. You haven't seen F1 just yet. Master Hart, Patrick Fiałkowski is going to be joined by him in a Williams as a debut driver. The Aston Martins are having one of the coordinators, the helpers, the administrators of ERO. His name is Liam Cross. Dropped.
He's annoying.
Sometimes, maybe. Even I'm more annoying. But Liam Cross, well, there's already a declaration that he's going to be beaten in F2.
Huh?
And it's said by Adam Kurtosh.
Liam's just a beauty to him.
Yep. Go over this one.
Sorry, God.
Yep, Liam Cross. 9th place in the championship of PSF1 last season, one of the most controversial seasons in the ERO history, and actually one of the best ones, I believe. With 33 points only, but that was enough for him to get 9th in the championship and get the Aston Martin season F2. Unfortunately, not enough for F1. Otto Zonneland is going to be joined by him, who switched to no line very recently. Then we've got Alpha Taris of Enzo Tebani coming back after a season of a break, and he's going to be joined by a man promoted from F3, Ivan Belov. Then we're having Alpines. Conor Ryan, who's been racing in F2 last season, he also joined F1 for a couple of races last season, and also was very, very close from the F1 seat. Well, he's now racing in Alpine alongside Chibuika Chukfuma. This is actually a very weird situation because Chibuika Chukfuma cannot race in F1 anymore. Maybe as a reserve it will be during the season, but he's going to be moved to F2 surprisingly, despite having a guaranteed seat. Some unpopular opinions say we just want Jericho Balgos to have someone to fight with for the championship. The McLaren.
Sorry, I'm just laughing. Liam's getting ridiculed in the chat right now still, so sorry. he's literally, Jericho just said that you owe me a win still. Sorry, how they continue to Matinho, sorry.
Yep. McLarens are having a driver being promoted from F3, and as I'm seeing, Emre Demir, I'm trying to find Emre Demir in the chat, you know? Yeah, he's 8th in the F3 championship, despite a race ban in Baku. He's also got 2 podiums on his account and missed out 6th place by 2 points, so that was very close. And he's going to be joined by someone who's been racing in F2 last season. His name is Bel van de Beek, who was very decent in last season, with 2 podiums, and essentially being on position number 7 in the championship, the better of the McLarens. Then we've got the Ferraris, with Adam Hurtos and Ville Piroinen, the 2 of the fans' favorites of ERO entirely. and also the current and the former administrator. These two have already raced in F2. Adam Hurtosh stays in the Ferrari after scoring 27 points last season, and Ville Piroinen was 5th in last season's championship with 2 podiums in the second year of ERO. Then we've got the Red Bulls of Lucas Uraida, who's joined F2 late in last season. Let me see how many points he's got, because I don't remember that was too many. Yeah, it was actually some 17 points, so that was very decent in a half. He's going to be joined by a man who's did one race in last season's F2, Fabian Marin. That was 5th place in Jeddah, by the way. And then we've got one of the controversies, because Cameron Dunn is being joined by Jericho Balgos, and this isn't a controversy. But I've already seen comments. Why is Jericho a second driver for Mercedes? And the real answer to that is Cameron Dunn is actually a helper of ERO. He's going to commentate probably in PSF5. We'll see about that during the preseason. Cameron Dunn is a helper to the league, so here's why he's the first driver. And he took Jericho Balgos as a teammate, because remember that helpers have the priority of picking the teams in ERO. Well, he's already saying one of Cristiano Ronaldo's celebrations in the chat, so that is very interesting. I'm leaving this to Luke Jobs and Liam Cross regarding the season of F2.
Well,
just one thing beforehand. My bet for the championship is Tsubuka Chukwuma.
right,
of
you
Balgos
were
and
going to
Cross.
say Loki. Well, I feel like Jericho can finally win his first title and get a win back from Liam that he nicked. Sorry, I saw that comment. I have to say it. If anyone doesn't know this, watch American 2 seasons ago, and you'll see why. Obviously, Loki is another one. Obviously, he's proved himself in F1 multiple times, so he could easily be for the title battle. I'm trying to think. Actually, Adam and Vilzu is a good partnership, so they could pull a surprise out of the hat. Obviously, Cameron's proved himself in F3, so he could easily be ready for F2. But it's gonna be curious how is this gonna work out. And obviously, Liam's just gonna choke. Well, you're not denying it, Liam.
Well, the thing is, though, is ultimately I can't. When you're PA and you choke, you only lose 4 points, and that's going to be the reality of my season. I'm never going to be the fastest driver. I'm just going to be in the midfield. There's nothing to choke. There is no championship to choke. I will never be in the championship fight, and I'm content with that. And for you to put me in the poll as a potential champion is really setting me up for quite a disastrous fall from grace.
I didn't say you. That's all on Matilio, not me.
I would like someone else, but
Well,
I mean, I'm looking through people I've driven with. Emre Demir, I know he got a race ban. Just to be clear, he is a clean driver. The race ban wasn't really because of incidents on track. A lot of this grid is exciting. Keen Hodgson, if you remember him back to season 6, F2, he dominated the first 2 races of the season, and then things come up. He couldn't race anymore. Keen Hodgson.
No, he got dragged to F1. That's what happened.
He got dragged to F1 and then didn't really come back. He is an incredibly quick driver. Rensbon, from being within other leagues with him, he's a fantastic driver, and Max UC as well. The reserves are really, really exciting. Alex Wells has his moments. Theo Smith as well. Matt Stahart did pretty good in F1 last year.
I've just seen Jacob's comment.
Don't
worry, Liam. No one will vote for you.
Oh, this is
14% of the people voted, so they believe in you.
Okay, that 14% clearly are joking, but I'll take it in my stride either way. I think, realistically, Jericho Balgos will probably.
Liam, you've got more than low key.
Have I?
Yeah.
Yes, he's got 10%. You've got. Oh no, it's equal.
That's equal. That's equal.
It's factually wrong, that prediction. I got 33 points. Chib's got 120 points in F1 last season. So there's steady the expectations a little bit. I'm not a championship rival, but I am excited because I think this is I'm looking at this tier and seeing there's quite a few championship rivals, and the top 10 I think will be very, very exciting, and I'm honoured.
So the wall, the curbing, the pit lane.
There may be lots of crashes, but there's going to be there's going to be an equal share of crashes. So that's the exciting bit.
Everyone is going
Yes.
to the end of the season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair. But obviously, I've said Jericho. Liam said, who did you say for your top
Jericho.
contender? Jericho. And then obviously Loki went. No, well, Loki. Martino said Loki. So it's going to be interesting F2, and obviously now we've got the major event, which is F1.
Yep, the
Which everyone's
pinnacle
gonna
of
be waiting for.
PlayStation League racing. Not ironic though, because this is actually going to be very interesting. Before we head on to F1, by the way, I have a very polite question to like this live stream, to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. We're very close to 1,200 subscribers, so that would be very cool if every one of you subscribed if you haven't. Anyway,
Sorry, I'm laughing.
in
I'm
the
just
chat
laughing at something
also.
else. Because Kia just sent a message to us.
I'm also going to say in the chat, to tell the chat to guess in which seat Bashi is going to race in ERO PSF1. Bashi, if you are here, don't say a thing about your placement. You might know
in
it.
the chat, though. Yes, he is still in the chat.
Yep. Where is Bashi going to race? Because I see Bashi being being better than Jericho. And if you look at season 8 standings, that would be a fact considering Brandon has won 9 races, which is half of the races.
Well, you're getting a mix of between. You're getting Red Bull, you've got a Haas. Some people are guessing reserve.
And we'll see about that within
I
a couple
know.
of seconds. But one more question. Which drivers are going to make it to F1?
Not Liam.
Yeah, not Liam.
It's not bullying someone else to see it. It's just bullying Liam.
It's drivers that haven't been in the grid reveal so far.
Oh, sorry, Liam. You've got a quali ban for next race.
Oh.
Yeah.
But that's my expertise on the show.
But obviously, as Martino said, this is F1 now, and obviously, hopefully, this is the best grid for all of them. And Martino said is the best anyway, so.
Yep. Also, why would Bashi hate Red Bull after essentially dominating the F2 Championship in it? Is there some tensions between him and Christian Horner? We'll see about that, but you want to see the PSF1 grid, so I'm going to show it to you right now. Also, just something to flex on. I learned a new skill on Photoshop, so that will be very interesting to see. Anyway, 3, 2, 1. We've got it. We've got 4 reserves in F1, 2 of them being Polish drivers of Kamil Włodkowski and Tomasz Brandenburg. Then they will be joined by the F2 champion Brendan Gashi, who's just a reserve, and Adrian Ueland, who also has requested to be a reserve for the TIA. So,
and here's the responses, because everyone's going to say, why is Bashi reserve, and all that crap. So, yeah.
Why is Bashi reserve? Because he specifically requested it.
And Axa hates the picture already.
Yep. Anyway, moving on, because we've got the entire of 20 drivers to talk about. In the Haas, we've got 2 drivers being promoted from F2, just like 2021 simulation, but they hope for better place in constructors than 0 points in 10th place. And that is doable with Panos Nikolaidis and Federico Olano, who are going to race together in the F1. Last season, it was the L2 team in Alfa Romeo, second place in the constructors, third and fourth. Panos was first in the drivers' championship. Now they're being promoted, and that was fully deserved. Next up, we're having Jacob Take being joined by Michał Fischer in the Alfa Romeo. These 2 drivers are definitely ones to watch in this season. Jacob Tucker was already fighting for the top 10 place in the championship last season. Michał Fischer was in F2 for the first half of it. So that is a nice promotion. Then we've got Anthony Vise and Ludwig Stahlberg, who will race in the Williams team this season. Well, Anthony Vise was meant to be teammates with Aurelian, but that unfortunately did not happen. Also, I'm going to refresh this graphic a little bit. There you go. Ludwig Stahlberg was also in F1 last season, as Antonio Vise joined late in the season. During the biggest controversies, Ludwig Stahlberg was there since the beginning. He's got the race of his life in Jeddah. Even if it's 7th place only, well, I still think it was race of his life. That could have been really a podium. I was literally rooting for Ludwig in the chat. Antonio Vise, well, after 2 seasons of not racing, he's back. The runner-up of season 5 is going to fight for the championship again. Or maybe get his first couple of races to get back into speed, and then we'll see very interesting things. Aston Martins are having a very interesting lineups of Jeroen Visser and Josh Evans, moving from Red Bulls quite surprisingly. They just skipped the Vettel's racing career, because Vettel at least got Ferrari in between. Well, Visser, one to watch for the championship. The last couple of races for him in PSF1, he was just a pure beast with a 3rd place in Hungary and 2 wins in Abu Dhabi and Brazil. Will he show that again in ERO F1 Season 9? We also have to consider the Miami win by like 25 seconds. Then we've got the AlphaTauris, Leon Baumgarten, who's got 12th place in the championship last season with a 4th place in Jeddah and 6th in Britain. That was all of the points. Is going to be joined by Mikkel Sorensen, the debut driver who's won the debut drivers race, so that is a very good perspective for him and a very good way to start ERO F1 career. Alpine is having a surprising transfer of Aurélien Lepenroux, the ERO PSF1 champion, the League Racing World champion, as I said in the headlines. He's being joined by Enzo Sabaton, so fully French team. This couldn't be more French.
Yeah, but let's just not hope what happened last season doesn't happen again.
I think this title battle will be much cleaner, by the way.
Yeah, better already. So.
Yeah, even though last season's title fight was actually exciting. That's the fact. I must say. Despite all the controversies, it was exciting. Well, all I'm saying. I hope this one will be cleaner, though, because there's a couple of contenders. In McLaren, we've got 2 debut drivers of Thomas Niemeyer and Sieb de Mangle, who are going to join the Papaya team and will try to get the championship of constructors and drivers, which both of the tasks were failed last season. They are now being put into some bit of pressure with this redemption task. Ferrari, very decent lineup. Kalle Pulkkinen stays in for another season with the Maranello team, and he's being joined by the Mercedes Academy prospect Maciej Lutiński from Williams straight to Ferrari. So that is going to be a very interesting swap for the season 9. Red Bulls are having the F2 prospect of Lars van der Linden, who was 6th despite joining halfway through the season in Formula 2 Championship. He's joined already the senior Red Bull team, so no academy skips. So he skipped the academy. And he's going to be joined by Nathan Buff, who was racing F1 last season. Let me see if he got any points, though. In last season, he actually might have done it. At least I can see him. Yeah, he did it with 3 performances. Still enough for Red Bull to believe in his talent. And then we're having Mercedes. Michael Engelin with a very interesting cycle of being Season 5 in Alfa Romeo. Season 6 was actually a break in Williams. But Season 7 was Mercedes, Season 8 Alfa Romeo. And now it's Mercedes again. And he's being joined by the driver who's already in the chat. And very excited to see it. Jensen Randall, one of the most talented drivers in the preseason recruitment. Unfortunately, the debut driver's race did not go the best way for him. But he's still one of the fastest in the recruitment, I believe. He actually was 3rd, just behind Olano and Gashi in the in the recruitment standings. That was Enzo ahead and Jacob Tucker as well, but that's just about it. This means Jensen Randall can actually be one of the prospects for the season. Now, questions to the chat. So word of comment from Luke Jobson and Liam Gross if he's still there, and the poll.
Well, what's to ask you, Watino? Who do you think your top choice for this season's champion going to be then?
I'm going to pass. I'm going to abstain from answering.
That's a first from you, but all right. But I feel like Axa and Vischer are going to be the battling for the top 2 this season. I feel like Vischer is just going to edge him out for his first title. But we'll have to wait and see how the season goes. Obviously, start at Bahrain, and see how that plays out. And then obviously Liam's probably going to say AXA.
I'm actually going to say Randall. Or sorry, Randall. Jensen.
Oh,
PSGL F1. May I remind you? I will say also looking at this grid, the amount of fantastic teams on the show here. You've got
look, without you.
Shazoo with Jensen, VER with Lars and Tucker, ERO, obviously, how could I forget? Falconen. We got Team Falov, IRT. I can't remember. I believe Sabaton is now with Trust Esports. We got Red Dragon Racing. We've got some good teams on the show. I'm really excited for this year. But yeah, if I was to give my prediction, it would have to be Jensen. He's the newcomer. But to say he's a prospect, I would say is an understatement.
I don't know the better wording. I'm not native.
We talk about the Matrix, and I'm not going to talk about it any
Randall's FHZ. That's what he is.
Yeah, but Jensen absolutely will be up there with Asa, with our good friend that I can't remember, Fissa. I think this sorry, I cannot remember the name.
How did you forget the name? It's right in front of the screen.
I know, but I'm distracted. This is going to be a good title. I think it's going to be a nicer title. We can get away from Season 8 and have a little bit of fun again.
Yeah.
But I also think midfield, overall, the quality of this grid has absolutely improved. There's name value. This is going to be.
I was going to do another Liam joke there, but I stopped.
And as a spectator, I mean, I will probably reserve in a few races, but as a spectator, this tier, I would go as far as saying it's the best tier we've had in quality wise across the field. And
Bahrain ends up was absolute everyone dead.
No,
so I'm just thankful as well because I'm going to say
90
this.
DNFs, Adrian Welland wins.
Yes. No, he has to be about 21 DNFs for Adrian.
So there's one positive about this season. It won't be me who's Stuart in this tier, thankfully. So if anything happens, it's not going to cause chaos.
Yep.
Because it's...
And here, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but the new steward, because Luke Jobson moves to F2 to relax a little bit, I guess?
Yeah, it's in a way.
Yep. Well, this tier is going to be stewarded by Mikael Korhonen this season.
So good luck, everyone, because he is very strict, so good luck.
Yep. Remember the 67 seconds of time penalties?
And remember the pit lane exit and entry.
Yep, I got a penalty point from him. Twice. In the same track in season 5 and 7.
I just want to say, I forgot to say FVR as another team we have with your own, obviously.
Oh god, everyone's going to kill each other.
Just can change it in a month, I guess, because, well, Jordan himself said that this is just a massive transfer window, so we'll see a couple of changes, I believe. ERO team is somewhat open, so we invite you to join as well.
Yeah, join F5, sword.
Yep. Anyway, let's see the poll. And I'm seeing another title decider with Aurelien Lepenru versus Jaren Visser to the line, Jensen Randall just being behind. At least
and someone else 20%.
Yep. And who that someone else is going to be?
Me.
Leo Cross randomly joins 3 different races and wins.
Yes, exactly.
Anyway,
Liam, did he win in Australia? Oh, wait a minute.
Okay, alright. Because you can't steward.
Because I forgot, alright? And you didn't tag us anymore.
Exactly. But sorry, carry on, Watch. Let's not talk about...
No, Liam's just being an Austrian, that's what he is.
Language.
Remember season 8, before the season 8, I said these 2 grids regarding to both F1 tiers on PC and PlayStation. I was saying, well, this was actually this might be actually the best tier in ERO history. Well, that could be a thing without a couple of controversies in both tiers, but this time we're actually having a true hopes for the best season ever, essentially. I hope there will be no questionable moves into turn 1 this season.
Oh god,
especially
yeah.
since they
Well,
got.
didn't you say this last season as well? How exciting it would be.
Yep, I said. And why
But
would I get a community warning?
I don't know. Don't know.
As you can
I think.
see,
Sorry, carry on.
though before the improvements to the broadcast and stuff, you could already see me experimenting on the debut drivers race. There'll be also video formatted race results on the social media, and maybe we'll give a couple of statements during the season. It all depends on how the season will go, and I'm
Oh,
actually
yeah,
really
actually,
excited to
I've
see
just
it.
realised there's one more thing I need to mention for F1 as well before I forget. So for commentary, it'll be a three-way thing we're going to be trying to do. So it'll be two of us each week, but we're deciding how to do it still. So it's going to be between me, Cameron, and how do you say his name again? Sorry.
Jakub Kozłowski.
Yeah, I just worry when I say his name, I'm going to say it wrong. But obviously, you all heard us last season, like at least in one race. So hopefully, it'll be us three and just trying to share the responsibilities out.
Did someone swear
But
on stream, Elliot?
I don't know. Apparently, Liam said language, didn't he? But I didn't say anything bad.
I believe you may have called me an arsehole.
Yeah. Well, he's
Yeah,
called me that,
let's
so
just
that's
ignore
you
that.
banned.
That's just me.
Swearing on stream, the stream is not for kids, maybe 13 plus or something. Anyway, this might be it. If you had any questions in the chat, just go on. Just go ahead. Hit the like, subscribe. We're still here for a couple more minutes.
Yeah. While waiting for questions to come in, I just want to say, yes, the racing is going to get better this season. But
Yes, Liam is going to be taken out by someone. Yes.
yes, perfect. But genuinely, I think this season, and I think if you look at how our warning system is working currently within the server, we're putting an emphasis on the community this time. I think we can agree what happened last season with some people. It went a bit too far, and we're working hard.
Yeah, give us a minute.
That's not great.
Sorry, I forgot.
Yeah, we had.
Fantastic. That was my nice
Sorry.
memo, and you ruined it. No, I'm joking. This season, tempers aren't going to flare. They're just not going to flare. We're on top of it, and I'm happy to say that because we weren't last season, but this season, absolutely.
So what
Get
Liam's
out
trying
of
to say,
line,
everyone.
we will bring you back in line, essentially. And
So what
I'm happy
Liam's trying to say, if anything goes wrong, it's his fault.
Wow. Wow, this message is not being received correctly.
Yes, blame Liam.
No.
Yes.
Tamisis, commentators, coordinators, lobby hosts. Now that we've filled out the grids, we're going to be able to ask people. This is partly why I'm not sure I'll be able to coordinate F3 just because of the F2 race time. It's kind of a bit of an
Okay,
issue
I'm sorry
for me,
to cut
but
it.
we're going to find out.
Okay, I need to go used to, obviously, so see you then.
Yes, have a nice one, Luke.
Bye.
So we're going to designate by request quite soon. Is there anything you can absolutely confirm now? What is happening? Helpers in certain roles?
Definitely Cameron as a coordinator, but tier to be decided still. Cameron as a commentator, we know the commentator pairings that stewards are the first tiers. Liam Cross is a coordinator of the tier F to be continued.
I would probably say F4. I think F4 was probably the sweet spot for me.
Yep.
But we'll see. There may be someone else, and that allows people from F4, such as Ennis or Jack, to fill in elsewhere, which they previously
F2
couldn't
needs
do.
a coordinator, like proper one, with a commentating stuff being on.
I'm a natural coordinator, so I could probably do both.
Yep.
Yeah, but Ennis, F3 could be a good shout for you. I'm just saying. Maybe with Jacob. The All-Star race went swimmingly well, if you ignore the fact it wasn't on the ERO YouTube channel.
Yeah,
I should really know why that happened. I'm joking. But yeah,
anyway,
I'm excited.
Me too. I actually see this grid and I say, well, something is going to happen. Maybe I will finally stop crying over stop crying over this one Polish podium from Filip Musiał that happened 3 years ago, because Lutynski and Fischer both have potential to actually get it.
Absolutely.
But for the championship, yeah, I'm saying one of these three who are in the poll. Maybe Engelian I will join.
I've not said anything about Sniper yet, actually, but you're right. Sniper, a very loyal servant. Um, Sniper, the other Mercedes driver,
Jensen.
don't no. But the Austrian, you really should look out for. He's not flashy, but he consistently gets the job done. I don't remember the last time Sniper span. He really is. He's an incredibly consistent driver. He picked chips to the post last season to secure. What I want to say is, we're going to find out in a second. P5 in the championship, only 30 points behind Josh. Do not sleep on Sniper or Ken. Ken, he had loads of DNFs. We're talking about Polkinen now. Loads of DNFs last season. But this is the process of learning no assists. Same for me. Polkinen, if you look at his performances in I want to say Australia and in Brazil, possibly somewhere else, but I believe it was those two. Oh yeah, in Hungary. Polkinen on his day is just as quick as the fastest guys. He really is. So be excited to see that. Very excited.
Yep. I believe this is where we are actually ending the stream. And this is the entire grids being showed in. We'll make it... I'll try to make it something like this, in order to ensure you can see every single grid on the stream, even though it's going to look terrible. But just to show it again, the 4 grids of ERO, the 5 grids of ERO on PlayStation are going to be shown right here on the screen. You can screenshot it, every single tier is there. And see you in Season 9, I guess. This month will be starting at the end of this month, 27th to 29th in Bahrain Grand Prix, which is going to be the season opener. Then we have Japanese Grand Prix coming back after being cancelled suddenly in Season 8 due to certain reasons. Then we've got the 2 European Grand Prix of Spanish and Dutch, and the 3rd one of Austrian Grand Prix. Dutch Grand Prix is going to be a sprint. Then we're going to America, with Canadian and US Grand Prix being involved. Then we're going to the Middle East, I guess, with Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And then we're having a second sprint in Britain. Then Belgium, Singapore, and we're back to Europe with Emilia-Romagna, Hungary, France, and Italy. The second last race of the season is going to happen in Brazil, and the finale is in Saudi Arabia. There is also a chance for a Chinese Grand Prix being involved in somewhere, but that's a subject to further to consider it in the longer term. Imagine putting F3 in the middle and not F1. Well, because F3 is the middle tier, so it should be in the middle, I guess. There you go. That's about it for this season. It's a grid reveal, not for the season, because we've got like 18 races to do. 17, I guess. 17, at least. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in Season 9. Goodbye.